Gentlemen, Alabama has won the Iron Bowl in dramatic fashion 27-24, and you're on with the Bama Standard post-game show. You know what to do. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Live chat. Well, you know what to do, too. Do your thing if you're watching the replay. Get in that comment section. Show us some love. We are brought to you by Workspace Pros. Listen, we got an all-star panel because only an all-star panel can handle a win like this. Representing just about every show on our network. They're all here. First of all, let's start with Crimson Dynasty, C.She Payne. Then right beside her is the illustrious Chris James from the Final Whistle. Just below him is the big brother, Dan James. And next to him is a 1999 SEC champion, former Tennessee Titan and Arizona Cardinal, and one of the fastest men alive, Jason McAddley.
J-Man.
Yes, sir. And then right next to him is a man who will definitely not hold his tongue in any situation, Lushan from the Final Whistle. And below him is a man who is used to situations like this. Matter of fact, he created one himself, former Alabama wide receiver, Matt Caddell.
And roll tide, baby.
Last but not least, two-time SEC champion, two-time national champion, and one of the baddest dudes to ever knock folks down, the Chris Owens. Man, that took a long time to read off all y'all.
Roll tide, man.
Roll tide.
Man, welcome in. I'm still trying to gather myself. I think all of us are. So listen, first off, we got $1.99 coming straight from us to us from Gavin Kane. Excuse my French, fellas. Money ducking Millie.
Okay. Milroe. Yeah. You want to say mother, you know what? But
yes, we're a Christian channel.
I can't hear that.
Speaking of Milroe, I'll pop this off.
Wait, we got a super chat. I think he's following along the line of what you're going to say. Jetty Long, $9.99 again. Jalen Milroe for Heisman. Go ahead, Matt.
I was going to say clutch. Everything went wrong. Self bad snap. Everybody's like, run the ball, and then he just poised, and delivers a dime to Bond. I mean, legendary status by Milroe. I mean, I think I don't know. I'll leave it up to the panel. Do y'all think he deserved to go to New York? I mean, just clutch, in my opinion.
I'll start with C.She. Yeah, start with C.She, then Dan, Jason, and then Lushan. We'll wrap around until we hit Chris James. Go ahead.
I think he deserves to go. I think when you look at quarterbacks, you can't just look at where they are right now. I would want to see the progression and just them improving over, the course of the season. And you line him up with anyone, Jalen Daniels, Bo Nix, any of them. I feel like Jalen has shown the most improvement, and considering that he's playing in the top, in my opinion, the top conference in the nation. It doesn't get any tougher than that. We literally had 7 SEC games back to back to back. And I think people forget about that. And so coming off of a loss like we did against Texas at home, to me, that speaks volumes. So I definitely think he deserves the trip.
Okay. Chris James, throw your 2 cents in.
Yeah, that play, man, that last play alone, touchdown pass alone warrants a trip to New York. That's all I got to say. He's been playing lights out. His touchdown to interception ratio, his QBR, all of that is up there with the tops in the country. And after that play right there, 4th and 31, the improbable comeback, that deserves, just think of all the great moments in Iron Bowl history. That play right there may have been our version of the kick six. We kind of all right, they've been showing the kick six to lead off every year since then. Now you have to replace the kick six with that play right there.
On the 10th-year anniversary of the kick six,
wow,
he scored with the second left with Terrion's pick. Just saying.
Wow. Can we get a tally of how many times they mentioned the kick six in this game? Because I feel like if we would have played a drinking game to that, we all have been dead.
And it couldn't have happened to a better bunch.
Hey, no question. Hey, we got a super chat before we hand it to Lushan. The Inquisitive Prince, $2. You were right about the close game, Jason. So this is Jason's fault.
Yeah, that was my jinx. You're right. But it's always close. Anytime you go down there, it's always close, man. You got those records out the window. You know how it is.
Yeah.
So since you're a pharmacist, can you prescribe us something for anxiety that you have caused us for the next 24 hours at least?
I can dispense it, but I can't prescribe it.
I'm gonna go cut the grass.
Right. Shout out to Smoking Bud, Revenge Season, $9.99. Roll Tide, baby. Time to show them Bulldogs how to behave. Hashtag here comes the Tide. Let's wait till we get to the Georgia game. But Lucian, pick it up, brother. Heisman contender now. Does he deserve to be in New York? He definitely deserves a Daniel Moore painting in my eyes. What are your thoughts?
You know, I think Captain Chaos deserves a trip to New York, not just only because of that last play, but because of his progression all season, because everybody counted him out. Nobody around the country had faith in him outside of the Alabama Crimson Tide fan base in the locker room. And he showed something that a few of us at the beginning of the season believed he could truly be. And he has actually done better than what I thought he could even do this season, and he can still grow. And in that in itself, in the competition we play, he definitely warrants a trip.
Hey, real quick, we got back super chats. We got Roy Renfo with $5. Seems like Auburn's last game to lost the last game to New Mexico State just to make us look bad in front of the committee.
No,
forget the committee. Then Ty Alexander, $4.99. In August, Jalen was announced as starter with a lot of people mad saying Simpson was better. What are they saying now?
Nothing.
They won't know where to pick up that Daniel Moore painting. Then Crimson Kings, $1.99. Roll damn Tide, Bama Nation. Time to celebrate. No doubt. Jason, I know we joke with you about what you called this past Tuesday night, but the reality is this is the Iron Bowl. Nothing's given to you regardless of records. This is not some homecoming opponent regardless of how they stack up in the stat column. We knew it was going to be a war. We talked about 2021's trip down there, and then Chris Owens will definitely touch on that as he compared it to this contest to that. But talk to us, man. What did you see that made you feel that it was going to go out this way? And then touch on our question about Jalen Milroe for the Heisman trip.
So as far as the game, I mean, I do think Bama has the better team by far. But, you know, like I said, you got to throw those records out the window. Auburn's going to play their best game of the season. They're going to play the hardest they have. They know what it means. They got they want those bragging rights for 364 days of the year, to their family members, their friends, their coworkers. Everybody down there knows what it means. So, there's a lot on the line, and they always end up playing this tough. Bama, had some mistakes. They kept it close. 2 touchdowns called back by penalties. It could have gone the other way. It could have been a 35-7 game, 35-14 game easily. But like Saban says, weird stuff happens down there at Jordan Hare, and we just so happen to be on the good end this time. As far as the Heisman, yes, he definitely needs to, deserves to be in the conversation. They're gonna look at him and compare him to what he's done, how he started, and where he's at now, playing in the best conference in the nation. He definitely deserves to be in the conversation. We'll see how it goes in the SEC championship and go from there. But he definitely needs to be in the conversation for it. And TA, I just came up with the name of that Daniel Moore, the improbable comeback. That was a good one.
I'll take it. I'm ready to buy it. I need that pre-sale going. Real quick, Darius Johnson, $4.99. Alabama needs to work on run defense. Who you telling? If we don't improve our run defense, Georgia will have an absolute field day. And we'll touch on this later, but that definitely came as a shock today. But I felt like one of our strongest personality types in our defense was the ability to stop the run. That was greatly exposed today. But, yeah, Jalen Milroe definitely deserves to be in that conversation today. He accounted for 366 total yards. He had over 100 on the ground. Man, he just balled out. Matt, it's your turn now. You're no stranger to big moments like we talked about when I was giving you that awesome intro. Man, kind of talk about what it takes to be a player to seize that moment and come out on the winning end of it. And also throw in your 2 cents about the Heisman.
I'll say this before I go there. Can we all agree that this is the best rivalry in college football? Like,
without a doubt.
Yes.
I mean, this solidifies it year in and year out.
Absolutely.
They always try to say, the game, Ohio State, Michigan.
Boring, snoozer.
Boring. It's the Iron Bowl. Second, the Iron Bowl is trending like crazy right now. But yeah, I do believe Milroe is in the conversation, like J Mac said. Just clutch genes. You know, just like we got a lot to improve on. But I love it when we have a good, tough victory in Auburn leading up to the SEC championship. I think that bodes well for us. So, TJ, what's up?
Man, how you doing?
Man,
Yay.
we got a family
Savage.
reunion, folks. Real quick, we got another super chat from Mattress Matt, $10. Why did we go back to the drop back, dancing around in the pocket, Bill O'Brien offense? What the F did we? Why did we abandon the motion misdirection offense? Poor players are fighting uphill against a terrible coach.
Can't show it all for next week, baby. Can't show it all.
But man, dangling there on the line of disaster is not a great place to be. But Chris Owens, we talked about your involvement in games like this, and you did call it. You said it probably would resemble what you experienced in 2021, but you emphatically said you hate playing in that place. And I definitely see why. Touch on that, man, and then give us the thoughts on Milroe at least being in the conversation for New York.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be maybe like a quarter of what it was, and then overall, like our talent would take over. But this game proves itself to be what it is. Once again, it's a close game, hard-fought game, a lot of emotion, a lot of physical play. Like you said, Justin, I wasn't expecting the run to be that big for them. I felt like coming into the game, we knew they weren't proficient in their passing game, so we could really hunker down on the run. But, you know, unfortunately with their misdirections and, you know, unexpected runs from Peyton Thorne, it was a little bit different. But it's the Iron Bowl. You got to love it, and it's the best rivalry in sports, not just football, basketball, anything.
Oh, good.
Okay. And really the person we've been waiting to hear for the entire time is the star of the show, the undisputed king of Final Whistle late night. Dan, talk to us about the game and where does Milroe fit in as far as the conversation of the Heisman? Of course, we know he hadn't put up the numbers of Jaden Daniels or even Bo Nix, but I think he deserves to be on the route to New York to at least, you know, take part in festivities. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. We're going to go ahead and coin this Daniel Moore, the Milroe miracle. And another thing, it's a good thing that Hugh Freeze didn't prepare for us 3 weeks ago, because he's been preparing for us for 2 weeks. Only to have his heart ripped out like this. But as far as Heisman, yes, he deserves the shot in New York, and I think next week it's going to come down to next week what we're able to do against Georgia
versus Carson Beck.
Right. So that's what it's going to come down to as far as the Heisman hopeful for Jalen Milroe, 100%. If he goes in, dominate, that he should immediately be the Heisman front runner.
All right, we have a few super chats to get to. Let's go ahead and jump on that wagon. Crimson Kings, $1.99. The Iron Bowl is second to none in college football. Absolutely. Then we'll go to Tat Lawson, $10. Can anyone explain why they took that pick six off the board? He stepped out of bounds. And then Michael Davis, $4.99. We had 4 touchdowns taken away from us, including that last pick six. I'm pissed it came down to this, but RTR nevertheless. And we'll get to the game within the game after we finish out this. We've had a few more family members while we've been talking. Ty, you were excited to jump on. You demanded I sent you that link as soon as the clock hit 0:00. Talk to me, man. Give me your thoughts on how this game played out, your thoughts on Jalen Milroe, and does he deserve to be in the conversation for the Heisman?
Yeah, you almost had to get blazed tonight because I ran out the door whenever Isaiah Bond caught that ball, and I got rowdy out there. So that was a sight to behold. Bless the wife; she has to put up with my game day shenanigans, and especially on this game. But this is the Iron Bowl. I had someone come into my stream this week, Justin. I think we talked about this when we all met up on Tuesday. And they tried to argue with me that the Iron Bowl wasn't a rivalry. And I talk for a living. it's very easy for me. And for the first time in my life, I had nothing to say. I think I stared at the camera for about 5 minutes with just like nothing to say. Because I'm like, if this isn't a rivalry, what is? Like, what in the world could possibly qualify as a rivalry? This game was ugly. This game was incredible, but they got the win, and that's all that matters. Because let's not get this misunderstood, y'all. This is the same Auburn team that played Georgia real well.
Thank you.
This is an Auburn team that is honestly, I swear, I'm going to try and fund a case study on the Auburn Tigers and why they show up the way they do in big games, yet shit the bed against teams like New Mexico State University. It's truly fascinating, a sight to behold. As far as Milroe, absolutely, he should. I just worry about the way the perception is with Alabama right now with these decision makers. Guys, they have not given Alabama any credit for anything they've done these last few weeks. I just worry that Jalen Milroe won't be getting the credit he deserves. But I can promise you this. If he decides to come back next year, he'll be the Heisman frontrunner to start off the year. And there's no question about that.
Todd, did the person who made that asinine comment provide any context behind why?
Their reasoning was that Auburn just lost to New Mexico State University, and I wanted to be like, you clearly have never heard the term Auburning. Like, this is what Auburn does. This is what they've been synonymous with. They will have horrible losses. They'll look terrible, and then they'll play Georgia. They'll play Alabama, and they will look like world beaters. This is consistent with the Auburn Tigers. We've seen it time and time again.
Would you label that person as a casual? Because clearly, if you understand football, you know that rivalry games are on a different level. The rules of
my brother in Christ casuals know about the Iron Bowl.
Yeah, but logic does not apply when it comes to games like that, as we saw tonight and in other instances. So it baffles me how that statement's made, and that person is not in the same asylum.
No idea.
But TJ, Terry Jones Jr., you're used to upsetting folks on the plains. You and Jason both are. Man, draw comparisons to what you experienced, because I'm sure, what was the term you used one time? It got so quiet you could hear a rat pissing on cotton. I think that's what they experienced tonight. And, yeah, give me your thoughts, and then where's Milroe stand in the Heisman running?
Man, it was a crazy game. I think between the referees and our lack of production offensively made the game a little closer than what it should have been. But good teams find a way at the end. As far as the Heisman and Jalen, he's close. I think there's about 3 or 4 other guys that's above him on the list. But I think he is consideration for the Heisman, but I don't think it's short. I think 3 other guys right in the got the guy that do over at Oregon. I think those 3 guys are up to be, and then you got Mark Harrison. So I just think there's a lot of people that's gonna get in the way of him get to New York.
Right.
Hope he comes back for another year, because he's a year of in-game adjustment, playing in big games, and then he can go get a chance to be the quarterback he wants to be. Because he's Jalen Hurts 2.0, 3.0, whatever it is. Like, you're playing quarterback, talk the game of playing quarterback, understanding what he needs to do, when to run the ball, when not to run the ball, when to throw the ball. And I think he'll be roommate. What's up, man?
What's up?
Listen, we got a few more super chats to get to. Man, we appreciate the love offerings that y'all are giving us tonight. Let's start out with Mattress Matt, $2. We are not, never shall be an NFL-style team. Then we'll go to Don Parker. Last week, we had the disaster in the pasture. Today, we got the nightmare in Jordan Hare. Wasn't pretty, but yes, we beat the barn. Roll Tide. And then we got Darius Johnson, $4.99. I'm sorry, Jalen Milroe will not win the Heisman. We're not saying he'll win it. We're just saying we feel like he deserves a trip out there. Jane Daniels got that on lock. Agreed. Milroe needs to focus on the SEC championship and the Natty. D. Finn, $10. Iron Bowl, written and directed by Martin Scorsese. And then offside tip, $9.99. Georgia got Run our fade, Milroe for Heisman. All right. We appreciate all y'all for adding in. Listen, let's break down some things we saw in the game real quick. If we can go around the panel and talk about difference makers in this game. One of the things I felt like put us behind earlier were the self-inflicted wounds. We had, I believe the tally was 4 touchdowns taken off the board just because of not making the right decisions. Guys, can y'all kind of help us understand what put us in this position? And then ultimately, I guess, what do we do to kind of rise to the occasion? She start us out, then go to Chris, Lou, Sean, Jason, Matt, Chris, Dan, Ty, and then TJ. Gosh, a lot to say.
Yeah, I was gonna wait till you finish. I'm like, well, you got 8 more names to go.
No kidding. It's the end of the show, y'all.
Yeah. No, honestly, I had my biggest thing going into this game was if we could start early, because I felt like with Auburn, a lot of people, wanted to laugh at the fact that they lost to New Mexico State, and I'm like, well, you just throw that away. I mean, I think that was more so intentional, more than anything. And so we know that for teams like Auburn, I mean, they were 6-5. The worst thing to do, in my opinion, is to play a team that has nothing to lose. And that's what we see with the Auburns of the world and teams similar to them. And so, of course, you expect them to pull out everything that they can. Plus, we're playing at Auburn. There were a few calls that the referees missed. And on top of that, some of our penalties were just ridiculous. I'm like, how is that even? It makes no sense. It's certain blocks in the back. I think we had 2 touchdowns in the first half that were called back, I think because of a penalty against CJ Dupree, and I think one against Kendrick Law. And so it's just, I want to say that they're mental errors more than anything, and it's discipline. But I'm thankful that we've been progressing each week, because had we not, we would have definitely lost that game tonight. I think that we've learned during that span of the 7 SEC teams that we played back to back, we learned how to win. And I think that's what really helped us. That's why we saw Jalen remain so poised the way that he did. So I think that this really, it was 2 things that I noticed. This was eerily similar to Auburn's game against Georgia a few weeks ago. I think even in the third quarter, they were tied, and I think Georgia only won by about 7 points. But even going back, I think to the 2021 season with Bryce Young, when we played at Auburn, it literally came down to that last minute. It's just when you go there, the atmosphere, they could literally have only won 3 games this season, and they'll still play us like it's their national championship game. And so I think a lot of it was self-inflicted. We didn't blitz as much as we should have. Our defense, I don't know what was going on with them. I mean, there were a lot of missed assignments, missed blocks. We know that Auburn is so one-dimensional. They only had about 350 receiving yards this season. So we know that they rely heavily on their run game. Why couldn't we stop them? Because if we shut down the run, we shut Auburn down. So they shouldn't have been able to score that much against us. And I do see a super chat from Ray Parham. They're pulling guards. We're destroying our linebackers, inside linebacker. I mean, we just look bad, but I know that that's not our identity. So I do believe that we can come back and be ready for Georgia.
Let's see. We got one more super chat. Thank y'all. Michael Davis, $1.99. I got a name: Despair and Jordan Hare. We got some poetic folks in the audience. Chris, pick up where Cici left off. Are you shocked that, I guess, our lack of focus was really prevalent for the majority of the game tonight? But in a positive way, do you think this helps us against Georgia? Because I don't feel like Georgia or any team in the country right now is more battle tested than Alabama, and that gives us a crazy edge. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. Like when they called back that touchdown, on that holding on that pop, was it a pop pass to Law when he came up with it, a pop pass? I can't remember what it was, jet sweep, whatever it was. When he scored and they called it back, I was like, because if we would have scored right there and gone up 14-0, Auburn, we would have blown them out. It would have been 2011ish when we went down there with the 2011 defense and just knocked them out the box. But we kept giving them life, like the penalties with the touchdown being called back. Just uncharacteristic mistakes, just stupid stuff. And you can't let a team like Auburn, that voodoo starts to cracking up and everything. But what folks have to realize is they rushed for over 200 yards on Georgia, who's like some say is the best defense in the country. Like Peyton Thorne had his way with them. Mm-hmm. Well, our problem was simple fits. It's like when we took Campbell out that third series, that's when they started having success on the ground. I feel like we should have never taken Campbell out. They kind of threw off the rhythm because the first 2 drives we stuffed them, and we took Campbell out, and that's when we started missing tackles and everything. And our linebackers, they weren't getting over top of those guards. They were pulling. They weren't getting over top of their fits, and they were getting caught. And it was huge running lanes. So basically, it was all about fits. We weren't fitting correctly. Those are things that can be fixed. Now, if we were just getting blown off the ball, say like the 4th quarter of the championship 21 championship against Georgia, when you just feel helpless, that's one thing. But we weren't getting blown off the ball. We were just fitting wrong. You know what I'm saying? Those are things that could be fixed. And who knows Saban better than Freeze? So I mean, you could tell that they obviously been prepared for Bama for 2 weeks because they obviously didn't watch a lick of film on New Mexico State. They just kind of winged it. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they prepared for Bama for 2 weeks and just said, we're going to wing it this game against New Mexico State. We could just go base and just win. And they thought wrong, you know. But I mean, you can't let Auburn hang around, man. Teams like that, you can't give them confidence because they start playing above their head. But the thing about it, though, I love that happened because now you can refocus. Because we'd have blown them out. We probably would have had a sense of like kind of overconfidence going into Atlanta. Now it's like we were grounded. Okay, it's time to refocus. Now it's time to hone in on Georgia. You know, so I'm glad that happened. You know what I'm saying? Because it just gives, it's like a jump off to a dead battery. You just give a jump, and once it gets going, you know, it's going. We needed a jump, and that's what we got. I think we're good to go from here on out.
Okay. Hey, real quick, Dale B, $10. We should have put a spy on Thorne after the first quarter. Man, how was he making us look worse than Jaden Daniels was? I'm still trying to wrap my head around that. Lushawn, pick up, man. What are some things you saw where you kind of shocked at how we were responding, the busted coverages, missing assignments, just being out schemed at times, and also at times out physical?
I was more so surprised than anything. You know, you never know what you're going to get coming into the Iron Bowl, like everyone has alluded to already. It's kind of just take what you're going to get. And even though we made mistakes and weren't playing our best football, we still somehow found a way to win the football game. And at the end of the day, in an environment like that, in a rivalry game, in that stadium that I really don't like, we got it done. It was sloppy, but a win is a win. And I think Jalen Milroe took another step in his process. And I think the defense got hit in the mouth at the right time, because I feel like in this whole fight of the season, they were kind of riding a little bit high. Now that we've got that gut punch, that nice little 3-piece to the chin that we took today, I feel like maybe some of our defenders got their hunger back in that mouth. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that some of our defenders might have lost their aggression a little bit, but I feel like after today actually getting fought and punched back, I feel like Chris said, I feel like it kind of woke them up for what we got to do next week.
Dustin Thweet, $4.99. The refs were trying the entire game to make up to Auburn for that blown face mask call. Yeah, there were definitely some crazy calls. There's no question about that. BJ Swope, $4.99. We appreciate everyone giving. And then we got another one from Roy Renfro, $5. That face mask call was BS. Never take anything the enemy. What? Anything, Jim, the enemy I never knew. They overlooked it on purpose just so they can call some BS take our touchdown. Okay, translated. Refs suck.
Yeah.
Jason, kind of give me your point of view and our play tonight. Do you feel like maybe after riding high for so long that complacency may have set in a little bit and we kind of got lost in that, and being hit in the mouth, did it kind of refocus us like our previous commentator just said?
You know, I think it was just almost kind of one of those fluke things. I mean, the penalties that we had, I mean, we didn't have a lot of penalties, but it seemed like every penalty we had was at a key moment, whether it was a third down, whether it was a touchdown, you know, just the small things that could have easily been a difference. You know, Milroe throwing the ball past the line of scrimmage. I mean, these things Yeah. So just these are little things. Like it's just like how often do you see that happen twice in a game? On one of those he probably could have just ran it and got the first down. So just little decisions that were made. The penalties and that just gave Auburn the room, to step in and stay competitive in the game. I think the quarterback in the second half running, they didn't really have an answer for that. He kept it so many times, and they were used to the running backs. They kind of did contain the run in the first half, except for the big runs, the big plays. They let couple big runs get out there, and that's where they got a lot of their yards. They were getting 4 or 5 yards a pop here and there, but we would get the 3rd and 3, and we might hold them, we'll get a penalty or something. So I think that's really what kind of kept the game close. And then our offense, fourth quarter, I think we went 3 and out a couple times when we needed to go down and score. You got to remember, we had to drive the field, and then we ended up punting, and they fumbled that punt. So, which gave us the ball down there, and we still ended up having to convert a 4th and 31, 4th and goal, 31 yards. So, they had a lot of opportunities. We had a lot of opportunities to win a game as well. And, we made it pretty much as hard as we could to win that game, but we did get the dub. Hopefully this will be somewhat of a wake-up call for both offense and defense, and know that, they're going to be seeing a much better team in Georgia. So hopefully we get our heads straight and have a good week of practice and get this win up in Atlanta.
Yes, sir. Jimmy Clay, $10, 4 in a row, roll tide. I like that. I think we're actually the first team since the Bryant era to have beaten Auburn 4 times straight. So that's another accomplishment for Nick Saban. Matt, we hadn't heard from you in a while, mainly because we have 40 people on the panel here. But give us your take, as far as how we played tonight. Was it just lack of focus, or like someone already mentioned in the chat, it's just the Iron Bowl?
It's just the Iron Bowl has something to do with it. And, mental errors. That's a tough road. It's some voodoo. I can't describe it. I don't know what's going on at Jordan Hare, but the guys overcame it. And whenever we have a tough Iron Bowl, I feel like that sets us up for, going into Atlanta, to really be focused. We didn't play the best game defensively. We didn't play the best game offensively, so didn't play the best game special teams. So we got a lot to work on these next couple of days leading up to Georgia, probably be the underdog in this game. So, I think like Chris said, I think it bodes well for us knowing that, hey, we got a great victory, but now we got so much to work on and improve on. Now we really gonna have a type of, a hunger and desire to do our best in Atlanta. So. That's just my thoughts, and I don't know what it is. It's some type of voodoo, whatever. I don't know what's going on down there in Jordan Hare. It's just you can't explain it, man. You cannot explain it. So,
BJ Swope, $4.99. Auburn run thinks they're going to win 6 natties now, lose to FCS, then lose the Iron Bowl. Then PJ Steins, $4.99. That 4th and goal play was called Lank, if any of y'all were wondering. Let's go. If Lank was a play, that right there is the very definition. Chris Owens, he over there looking like Ric Flair. Give me a woo. Hold up that gold, sir, because that's what we're going to be doing. I know we're going to be styling and profiling and strutting. And give us your take, man. What I know there is negative in this game, and that it happens sometimes, but the fact is we overcame the adversity. What positive do you take from that, and how does it help us against Georgia?
For me, I think a little bit different. I know we're saying like it's a wake-up call, but when we had a similar type of situation my last year, it was more so of how do we have more of a focus heading into our next opponent, not so much as like obviously clean up the little mistakes from the game, but we need to focus more on our opponent. I'm not going to say we're overlooking our opponent this game, but it's easy to kind of know, okay, we have a guaranteed next game and we know what's in front of us, but you have to remember the environment you're going in. So little things that I saw during the game, kind of like we were in a lot of 3-down fronts at times, and I think we should have been in 4-down, create a little bit more pressure. I think we could have handled the time possession better a little bit. I don't know the exact numbers, but it didn't feel like we controlled the line of scrimmage all the time. It didn't feel like we had control of the game. It didn't feel like we were in our normal rhythm that we've gotten accustomed to the past few weeks. And so things like that will really be honed in on going into the next game. But it's all once you get past this 24-hour rule, correct your mistakes and we flush it. We don't have time to look back and say, what if? There's no time to feel like, oh, well, if we play like this, then Georgia's going to beat us. No, because we had that situation where we gave up, 7 sacks in 2021? And everyone said, if they play like this, then, there's no transitive property in college football. Things don't work that way. So it's really just a good time for us to remember what our goals are and really hone in on the game plan for next week.
And real quick, just give y'all some score updates for the folks that we are watching ahead of us. Washington right now is a winner over Washington State by 3 points, 24-21, and Florida is up 7-0 right out the gate. So we'll keep an eye on the scores as they progress. Dan, you've had an opportunity to hear everybody. Talk to us about the positive takeaways and what you've really seen as far as growth, not in just this game, but I guess all season leading up to this game.
Okay, one word I would use to describe this team post-Texas, it would have to be resiliency. We took their best shot, man. I mean, they were really, literally taking it to us, and like Chris said, I don't understand why we couldn't get an extra down lineman in at some point during the game. It was like, Auburn was running literally every play, So I don't understand why we went with a 3-down line in front. But, we didn't do as bad on third down as I expected, you know what I'm saying? But they were 4 of 12 on third downs, which was huge. But, we should have done a better job of, getting them in obvious passing situations. We weren't able to do that with the 3-down linemen.
Hey, Greg Eubanks is saying that we're not eye candy, but apparently she is, and she makes us all look better. we appreciate you taking up the visual stimulation.
well,
he just called us ugly.
I need the most help.
I believe the audience member just called us all ugly. Ty, you've been sitting waiting in the wings to voice your concerns about the game, and you could go a couple of different directions. You could talk about the negatives, the self-imposed penalties, or you could really talk about the growth that you've seen in this team, which is really preparing us for the ultimate showdown, which is next week. Which direction do you want to go, sir?
A little bit of everything. So talking about this game in particular, Jason, I want to call back to something you talked about, and that was your references to the big play. And this is really interesting because Auburn had 337 yards total offense. 169 of those yards came on 5 plays, meaning if you take those 5 plays away, they had 168 yards throughout the game. Half their offense came from 5 plays. That's it. If we look at time of possession, Alabama won that battle. If you look at turnovers, they won that battle. This game was won and almost lost off of little things, little busts, not being in the right area. One thing, I think it's time for the linebacker duo full time to be 30 and 32.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is past time for that. They are, without question, the most athletic duo that the Crimson Tide field, and Jahad Campbell shows that every time. Then you just had some weird things, like Hugh Freeze notoriously loves those little rub routes, right, where it's a borderline pick play every single time you get those crossers. And one time, they blocked Kool-Aid all the way across, and that was one of those big gains. But, that would have been a moving screen in the NBA. It was wild. This was just an interesting game through and through. Now, how has this all prepared us for Georgia? Well, Dan, I think you hit it on the head. It's just about resiliency. I don't think, and Chris, to your point, I think you know better, and those of you that have played, y'all know better than anybody else. It's just about refocusing and how can we approach this week in a manner more conducive to success than the last week. And this Alabama team is hyper resilient, which means this next game is going to be a ton of fun, and I can't wait. But I just think it's really interesting how much of Auburn's offense came from 5 plays.
That's a great question. Mr. Yelder won $5 panel. I know y'all all love Jace, but his ball carrier vision isn't there, and he lacks power. I hate seeing him in when we need yards on crucial downs.
I couldn't disagree more.
I think he was injured. I saw at the end of the game he was on crutches.
I don't agree.
That might have had something to do with it.
Yeah.
But to your point, I agree. I do. I can see more Jam Miller. I think we'll probably see a lot more Justice Haynes and Roydell. Roydell's he's hits it. It goes up the middle. So that's what I like about it.
I think one of the top players of the game is definitely Jason McClellan. He was clutch, and you can't ever question his determination. He was big tonight. I'm sorry. He does have power. He does have
really
vision.
Good.
Yeah, absolutely. He
had a huge cutback.
His jump cuts were fantastic, and I think his decision making extended plays. So I gotta give my hats off to him. But this quickly go around. Let's talk about what's coming next, and just keep it 30 seconds. Where does Alabama go from here? How do they shake this game off now, and how do they shift their mindset to the mountain that is Georgia? See, she start us out, then we'll go around the horn to Chris, Lushan, Jason, Matt, Chris, Dan, and then Ty will close it up.
Right. So, we definitely have to keep the main thing. I know that, throughout the season, we probably wanted to see Georgia lose a game, but I'm glad that they're at number 1 because I think that's going to be really important when we beat them next weekend. And I honestly see us beating them, pretty well, but a lot of it has to do with how we start. So I think that we need to kind of reshift, especially, with the defense. I was a little surprised with what I saw tonight. Mm-hmm. And I kind of, I did expect us to make, some adjustments after halftime. To some degree, we did, but it was still some missed assignments. And so I definitely think that we need to work on that for sure. I think that, Jam Miller could have gotten more tonight. And so I do expect to see him more next week. And it sounds like with Jace, with what's going on with him, we may actually see Jam Miller more. So I think for next week, it's going to be important for us to, play a full 4 quarters, come out, strong, and just remember not to focus on the playoff stuff because we can't really control that, directly. It's more so indirectly. So I just think that, on the play calling side, there are things that Tommy Rees and Kevin Steele, they kind of need to go back to the drawing board. I want to see a little bit more creativity. I want to see Jalen Milroe take those runs. I mean, there were a few times tonight where it was literally wide open green pasture. I mean, we could have planted vegetables and all types of stuff because it was just wide open, and I'm like, and I know he did. Now he did get hit pretty bad, and I honestly I was calling it targeting because I wanted those 15 yards. But it was right.
He could have just reached out and got the first down. He didn't have, what I'm saying, he could, or just cut back and hit the ground. He didn't have to take that hit.
Right. Yeah, I agree. So that's my 30 seconds, Justin. I just think we need to keep the main thing, work on our discipline, on not all those penalties, because that really cost us, and, just go out and ball out like we do.
Yeah, I agree. I think some of the decision-making on Jalen Milroe tonight was out of character. Attribute that to the Iron Bowl and just a crazy moment. Normally, any other situation, he's not making those decisions. When it's time to run, he runs. He had green pasture at the end when he got whacked inside the head. Yeah, he could have. Chris, well, first of all, thank you to Mattress Matt. Again, everybody's emptying out the wallet tonight. $5. When we hold a team to 24, offense is the problem. Can someone please explain the play calling problem? I don't necessarily think the play calling was a problem tonight. I think a lot of the things that we did was getting in our own way because I feel like the plays were there. And I feel like even though with Jalen's mistakes, he rose to the occasion and he really was a difference maker in this game. So, Chris, pick it up.
But yeah,
what's next?
Just back to the drawing board. When it comes to refocusing back to Ground Zero's Georgia week, like all week in the complex, I wouldn't play. The only thing I would play is that loop when David Pollard told Nick Saban right there in his face during the national championship that Georgia is the new standard, and Nick had to sit there and take it and swallow it and eat it and keep it professional. I would play that in the complex over, and you best believe that Nick Saban is gonna. Oh boy, I'm telling you, those boys gonna come in Atlanta breathing fire because they want payback already from 2021. They already want payback because, like I tell, like folks ignore the fact that we were missing 2 starting cornerbacks, both our cornerbacks, not in addition to Jameson Williams and Mechie, Joe and Omar Davis, 2 NFL guys weren't playing. There was a difference in the game in that 4th quarter when they threw those touchdown passes. So, but at least I'm kind of glad we kind of got exposed on the ground a little bit. But see, Georgia presents a different type of threat because it's hard to prepare for a running quarterback like that. Like a running quarterback, when you have to add that element in, You have to add somebody else into the box. It's just tough preparing for those type of guys. And luckily, Georgia, they think that they're Bama 2019 now. They just want to air it out, So we take away the run, eliminate the run with our front, and I don't see them having success against us in the passing game on our corners, man. Brock Bryles may do his thing; he does his thing against everybody else. But their receivers, like they talk like they just had the best corps. We played better, and like I don't know. I just think that we're gonna come in Atlanta breathing fire. We're gonna clean up the things that we're gonna clean up. Milroe is gonna see opportunities where he could have run the ball, and that's gonna change. So I'm glad mistakes happen. It's good when mistakes happen, you still win. You know what I'm saying? Because you have a chance to go in the meeting room and correct all of that. We would have played flawless today. Like I said earlier, we may have gone in Atlanta with a sort of a big head. So we're gonna be counted out. We're gonna be doubted. It is what it is. So I just think that we're gonna refocus, man, and come out breathing fire.
I like it. Lushan, give us your 30-second take on what's ahead.
We got to come out with a different attitude, I think, next week. And I think Saban's going to do it. I think he has yet to deliver his biggest and most important message to the team, which I think he will deliver in his normal time. I think we're going to see something we haven't seen yet this season happen next week. I also think we're going to see some things in our offense that some of us have been expecting to see that we haven't seen. I think there was a reason for some of the play calling tonight, how they kept it real vanilla. And I look for next week for Saban to just wow the country one more time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Jason, I'd like to turn it to you now because you came out kind of a tight game against Auburn in 1999, only to go to the SEC championship where Florida again was the favorite, and we steamrolled them. Do you have that kind of feeling here?
No, I mean, and you could even go back to, when, a couple years ago when Alabama played Georgia SEC championship and we went in there and beat them. We needed to beat them to make it to the playoffs. I don't think it's that type of scenario. I think basically what Alabama needs to do is just focus on not beating themselves, eliminate the penalties. I mean, really, if you go look at the stats for this game, I got to look at my phone right now. And literally, if you don't look at the score, you see the stats, you'd be like, oh, they probably won by 3 or 4 touchdowns. I mean, we lead it in all categories. 7 for 17 on third down. We had 8 penalties, but we had 4 touchdowns called back. So, when you look at something like that, it's like, man, all these penalties we had were big time moments in this game. So if we could just eliminate those small things and go in there and play a good game against Georgia, we definitely can come out there with a dub. So just want Alabama to, focus on what they do and not beat themselves.
I like it. Matt Caddell.
Yeah, this one's for you, Harvey Updike. Roll Tide. This for Bell Bryant. This for that kick 6. I had to get that off my chest. But yeah, Roll Tide. But yeah, I just think, I think this kind of puts Kirby in a crazy predicament. Like Jason said, I'll be brief. We just got to eliminate the penalties, have the, eliminate the small mental errors, get back focused, get back on the drawing board. Let's do it this week. And like Chris said, play that David Pollock tape all week. But, I think this kind of puts Kirby and Mike Bobo in a predicament because, do they run their game plan? Do they try to just run and do things out of characteristics? So I think that might have them kind of overthinking this thing versus Alabama. And I think Alabama kind of already has the psychological advantage moving forward. But yeah, it's all Alabama just got to improve, get better, use this as a stepping stone, eliminate the penalties, and get ready for a dogfight, literally in Atlanta and go out there and win it, man. We can't control the playoff, but we can control winning the SEC. And so I'll take that all day. I think Saban's going to be in his bag. I like Lushan said, I think we were kind of holding. I think we had a limited playbook tonight. We ran basic stuff, but like Jason said, the penalties, that's what killed us. So Long as we can stop the quarterback draw, the rub plays, and little quick tosses here and there, that's all I care about. But roll tide for you, Harvey Updike.
And a reminder for Marquise Mays, F them trees.
F them.
Chris, it's your time to speak, champ of the world, sir. This upcoming game eerily resembles what you experienced. You know, we escaped Jordan-Hare, and people saying we probably shouldn't show up against Georgia. Georgia is on fire. Do you have that same vibe? And do you feel like this time is another replay of what we saw when you played?
Yeah, definitely. Leaving this game, the three things I really want to see us improve on: one, the penalties, like we've all said. It's not so much the ones that are effort penalties in the middle of the play, but the undisciplined, the untimely ones, the things that we know that we shouldn't be doing. I want to see this week really working on getting back in the rhythm, both offensively and defensively, not playing so much spontaneous football to where we're kind of playing from behind. Like, I want to be in control. But ultimately, like you said, in 2021, we had a feeling of desperation. We understood that we were the underdogs, our backs were against the wall, and we kind of just were comfortable being uncomfortable. So I think if we take those things with us and not worry so much about the opponent, where we're playing, what's on the line in the future, just focus on the 22 guys on both sides of the ball, I think we'll be fine.
Dan James, the voice that we all want to hear.
Definitely, you know, no matter how we got here, guys, we are here. This is it. You know, this is the opportunity. After the Texas game, you know, if we would have, I would tell you, you know, we have our chance. You know, we be in this situation, all of us would take it. So we got this opportunity, you know, to go in next week and really do what we need to do and we're capable of doing. But however, we got to clean up little mental mistakes, little mental errors, you know, like, you know, being misaligned, you know, the snap problem that was still happening, you know, things like that. We got to clean up to be able to beat a Georgia team. You know, Georgia's not going to beat themselves. They haven't in a year, you know, so we definitely can't afford to, you know, to give them anything, you know, so we got to come in, you know, but like you say, you know, let's play that tape all week because we're here. This is what we wanted, you know, our shot at Georgia, regardless of anything else, the national championship, you know, anything, you know, we wanted this opportunity, our shot at Georgia, and we got it. So we need to take advantage of it.
Well, absolutely. And let's remember that Georgia this year is not quite the machine they were the past 2 years. They make their living off of the mistakes of others. Ask Missouri. Missouri wins that game if they don't make two boneheaded decisions late in the game. Even Florida made some boneheaded decisions that ultimately caused Georgia to run away from things. Matter of fact, I think their whole MO is really capitalizing off the mistakes of others. That's how they have 2 titles. Well, that and people getting injured, dropping like flies. But Ty, sum it all up, man. Where does Alabama go from here? Do you have a feeling of total domination coming our way next week against the Dogs?
No, I don't think Alabama will get dominated. That's just not in the Saban MO, not in a big game like that. And this is a very talented team.
I mean, us dominating them, sir.
Oh, well, then, yeah. I mean, listen, this is
an Alabama podcast.
Right, the way he asked that question was framed from the Georgia perspective, but
oh man, I'm so sorry. I need to remove myself from this panel.
Yeah, you asked it from the but that's not. I'm in awe, gentlemen. This isn't related. Florida State has 2 yards, and we are in the second quarter. 10 minutes left in the second quarter, and Florida State only has 2 yards of total offense, and their time of possession is 2 minutes and 54 seconds. Beautiful. Love to see it. But in terms of Alabama, listen, this is a very talented team, and the one thing Georgia hasn't played is a quarterback like Jalen Milroe with the athletic ability of Jalen Milroe. I think the closest they've played is Jackson Dart, currently Haynes King. Neither one of them even compare to Jalen Milroe and what he can do. And I think that right there is going to be something very interesting to watch. On top of that, I think there's a real principled argument that Alabama easily has the best wide receiving core that Georgia would have played this season. And I think it's obvious that Bama will have the best secondary that Georgia will have faced this season. So it's going to be a fantastic game. Alabama has the keys to go in there and win that game, but they have got to come out of this game, refocus, and understand you can't have some of those bad penalties that you had against Auburn. You can't have the mental lapses against a Georgia Bulldogs team and come out on top, because Alabama has the recipe to win that game.
Quick update. Georgia Tech's got a pick 6 against Georgia. They lead 7-0 with 7:28 to go.
And they just intercepted him again. Carson Beck again.
That ruins his Heisman campaign.
So Georgia Tech got the ball up 7-0.
He had a Heisman campaign?
He's just a game manager.
Yeah, he's not.
He was throwing that was a joke.
Oh, well, they've inserted him into the discussion in these past couple of weeks. All of a sudden, he's clearly above and beyond everybody else is in the conversation. Matt?
Can I say this? And we had to go against that referee and the refs. That referee, the headline judge, was the same referee when we played Tennessee last year.
Facts.
All those crazy penalties. So
facts.
Don't lose sight over that. And like Chris said, Auburn played Georgia pretty tough. Like, let's be real. So, it is what it is. But I like Alabama. If they're motivated, they're locked in. I can see Bama pulling it off.
Okay. Well, we're approaching the end of our show, but before we start to wrap things up entirely, I want to go around the room and get everyone's offensive and defensive players of the game. As always, CC, you'll start us out. Y'all know the order. Let's get started.
Yeah, so I always give about 2 from each side. So offensively, I have to say Jermaine Burton, I feel like he was always pretty much, to me, he stayed on point the entire game. Jermaine Burton and also Isaiah Bond. But then on the defensive side, I have to say Jahad Campbell. I think it was a fumble recovery. To me, that was a momentum change, and I think that really helped us. And then also Terrion Arnold from the defensive side.
I like that. Chris?
With the last play, before the last play, I had Jermaine Burton, but with that last play, I have to give it to Jalen Milroe. Offensively, defensively, it's the tie between Terrion Arnold and it's 3 guys. It's like both our edge rushers, Dallas Turner and Braswell, had hell of a game, and Jahad Campbell was big time when he was in there, but Terrion Arnold, 2 picks. I mean, that's all American type stuff. He's going to be on the All American team, so it's kind of hard. I just give it to those guys. They're going to have to share it. But one last thing, isn't it crazy that Auburn didn't get the ball back not once at the end? Because when they muffed that punt, we got the ball. We kept it for the rest of the game. So I don't think they touched the ball. What time was it? The last 7 minutes of the game?
There's a last
until those last 2 plays at the end. So that was something that I think was kind of crazy.
Jason, who caught your eye?
I got to go Milroe. I mean, he had over 100 yards rushing. He had 250 something yards passing. He extended some drives. Remember, we started that drive way back on the 1 yard line. I mean, we were able to convert some stuff. So I got to give our offense, got to give it to Milroe. He wasn't perfect, but he definitely made some big plays, especially on his feet. I think there was a 2nd and 20 or 3rd and 20. So he definitely put us in a position to win the game. On defense, I got to go with Dallas Turner. He caught my eye for sure. He had a sack and a half, I believe, if not 2. I did see him one play where he knifed through the line, hit the running back in the backfield, and I was like, "Who was that?" And it was Dallas. So yeah, I got to give my defensive MVP to him.
Shout out to Calvin Jones, $4.99, the bond out. Nice, Matt.
I'm going Milroe.
That's
Milroe, the hero, and then I'm going Terrion Arnold. I mean, 2 picks. I think he's had an interception just about every game the past 3 or 4 games, it seems like. But like J-Mac said, I mean, Dallas Turner, Braswell, and another play of the game, the referee's not throwing when the fight broke out at the end, not throwing any penalties because I was getting nervous about the brawl, man. You know, so we dodged the bullet out of that one. So yeah, roll tide, baby.
Yeah, no doubt. Chris Owens.
Yeah, for me on offense, I'm gonna go Milroe as well. I think what really impressed me about him this game is that when we did get a 3-man rush from Auburn, he was very patient. He wasn't reluctant to take off with his legs, even though there were a couple times he was a little indecisive on when he wanted to throw the ball. But for the most part, he looked comfortable back there. He let the receivers find his zone, and that's not easy to do. It's easy to just want to throw something up without realizing you've got a couple extra people in coverage. And on defense, I'm also going to go Dallas. I saw the same play you saw, Jason. It was incredible, both in the run game and the pass game. When we needed him, whether it was coming off of stunts, winning one-on-ones, he was living in the backfield today. So I'm gonna go with Dallas.
Dan?
100% on offense is Jalen Milroe. He's been our guy. We've been riding him all season. Defensively, I got to go with Terrion Arnold. 2 interceptions. That was huge. We won the turnover battle. That helped us out. So those are my 2. Milroe on the offense, Terrion Arnold, and we don't have a special teams guy this week. I guess it was special teams killed me today.
Jahad Campbell in the recovery.
Yeah, that's special teams.
That was huge.
Yeah. But the guy muffed it, so that was a layup.
And it's in Jordan Hare when James Burnip is off.
Yeah, James Burnip, Reichert. Oh.
Didn't Reichert break the record today?
No, he missed
it. He didn't.
He missed
But I'm saying I think he was like he had 8 total points. I think he had 2 field goals.
He needed 10
to have it solo, but I think he tied it. Didn't he tie it?
I don't think so. I think he had to make the field goal. He would have beat it.
Make that field goal.
He got the extra point after the touchdown.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I think he had. Yeah,
I think he's 2 shot now.
Okay, so that's perfect spot to break it in Atlanta on them dogs.
Ty?
Yeah, not to beat a dead horse, but on offense, it's got to be Jalen Milroe. And because of the play, it's got to be, in my opinion, Jalen Milroe, Isaiah Bond. I mean, that play will live on in infamy, right? I mean, you're talking 2nd and 26. You're talking kick 6. It's just kind of one of those plays. On defense, I'm going to give you 2 names. Both of them have already been named by the panel, so don't get overly excited. We're talking Jahad Campbell. We're talking Terrion Arnold. Jahad Campbell, once he came in there, he looked like an answer. When Alabama's defense was full of questions and it was obvious that they needed an answer, Jahad Campbell was that answer. And Terrion Arnold continues to be one of the best cornerbacks, if not having a real campaign for the best cornerback in college football.
I want to address this real quick. Passion of John. Bama was disgraceful today. Got lucky as hell. We'll take it. One play away from being a national laughingstock. Listen, it's the Iron Bowl, and Lou Holtz once said sometimes to win a championship, you have to get a little lucky. Lucian, who are your players of the game?
This is kind of a hard one, but I think on offense, I'm going to go a little bit different route here. I'm going to say the offensive line as a whole is going to be my player of the game, because in order for Jalen Milroe to do his thing, they had to protect him. Mm-hmm. And they did a pretty damn good job of that in this game today. So my offensive players of the game is going to be the Alabama offensive line as a whole. And on defense, I mean, y'all have named some phenomenal players. Obviously, Terrion Arnold with his interceptions, Jahad Campbell coming in and making a difference. But I attribute the Iron Bowl really get turned when Caleb Downs brought down Robbie Ashford in space. So I'm going to take ties for that he's had all year, and my defensive player of the game is going to be number 2, Caleb Downs. Getting it done.
I like it. Now, will they mention Jalen Milroe's miracle heave to the end zone as much as they mentioned the kick 6? I'd be curious to see that. But then again, we won't have to worry about that because no more Gary Danielson after this coming week.
Man, he's such a hater.
Rooting for Auburn.
That touchdown on Bird, he's like, oh, he stepped out of bounds. I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
Man, out of bounds.
And how was it not inbounds on that one play when they looked at it?
There was space between the white.
And that was a third down play. That would have been a first down. Like everything was just going against us on that.
Well, then again, Jason, we got our get back when the punt was fumbled.
Yeah, I guess.
So everything
that was a clean play. Right, Auburn was allowed just wild things. Like Jason said, apparently to catch a football, you had to not only be inbounds, you had to be inbounds by 3 feet. It's just that Alabama players didn't get the memo. And then Alabama also didn't get the memo that unless you're Auburn, you can motion 3 to 4 people at a time now.
Yeah, what was that?
What was that, bro?
Only if you're Auburn. Only if you're Auburn.
There was 4 people moving.
But you know what kills me, guys? All we're going to hear about is the missed face mask call that's all we're going to hear about for the next week. Forget the call where Burton was clearly inbounds. Forget the 3-man motion that would have been a loss. I mean,
what about when our punter got body slammed for no reason?
Yeah,
but they called it on J.C. Latham for far less while the play was still going on. I don't know.
I'm confused how our punter gets just absolutely destroyed and then gets punched in his face mask, and the ref's just like, "Oh no, get up and go."
Yeah, the ref is literally right there watching him give him the people's elbow, and there's no call on it.
And the first punt James Burnham had, they tackled him, and we didn't get a call. And I was like, "What's going on? Are you not gonna throw the flag?" But
hey.
It was after that I realized which ref it was. I'm like, we ain't gonna get nothing.
Yeah.
Hey, it's crazy though, man. I don't even think they shook hands after the game.
They didn't. They went straight to the locker room.
They went straight to the locker room, went over to the fans, celebrated with the fans. Like that rivalry, man. Like Michigan Ohio State is a good rivalry because of where they're ranked right now. But come on, man, the passion, the hatred of you have to share a state with these folks, man. Like Michigan and Ohio, they can go back to their respective states. Alabama, man, you may walk in the store. And
we gotta see them at work on Monday.
Be in line behind them. You know what I'm saying? So
exactly.
It's crazy when the fans are worse than the players. Like this is the first time I've seen fire from the players in years. I mean, towards one another. You know, even though that time they did the Crimson Crane, they kept mocking Mitchie. But as far as like fighting, we never really just got into a brawl with them. Like the day was just extra chippy. But usually it's the fans because, like, you know, we all have friends that play for Auburn. So between the players, it's normally not like that. It's just, you got to do your thing. I got to do my thing. But the fans is what make this rivalry. I mean, just Harvey Updike.
I think the spirit of Harvey Updike descended upon the stadium when it was time for Isaiah Bond.
That was for you, Harvey.
Catch.
For you, Harvey.
Right.
All right. We've reached the end, but before we head out, we're going to go around the room again for everybody to get an opportunity to pop what they got, whether it be your social media platforms or, for many of you, shows. We're going to start out with Sishi. If you would, tell folks how they can find you, and then talk to them about your show, and then we'll go in the usual order and close it out.
All right. So you can catch me right here on the Bama Standard every Wednesday night with the Crimson Dynasty. So we are at 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have a new, guest co-host, Chris Owens. So he has some very good commentary. You know, we keep that thing lit. And we're going to have a really good show this week. So be sure to join Wednesday night right here at the Bama Standard. And also, I have my social here under my name. So you can find me there on Instagram. And other than that, Roll Tide. We're gonna beat the dogs. The dogs, you know, they got to go back in their cage because that's just what it is. We got to tame them dogs.
Okay.
Y'all check out what Chris Owens has to say. We've had a couple of clips of his that I made that have drawn attention from folks. So he's becoming quite the popular guy on our channel. So we appreciate him. Chris James, talk to us about the final whistle. How they can find you, all that good stuff. You
can find me. You can find me on Facebook at Chris K. James Sr. on Twitter at Coach Chris James, on Instagram at CKJ Senior 32. You can find me right here on this network every Tuesday night with these fellas you see below me, with co-founder Mac, Justin, Dan. The final was Dan, who's our lead recruiting analyst. And my little brother, and I got analyst Lucian and the showstopper Mr. Ty Hayes. You can find us on Tuesday nights right here, same time at 9:00. Man, like it's gonna be lit. You do not want to miss this Tuesday. I promise you don't.
Hey, quick score update. Florida just got a safety, so they're up 12-0 over Florida State.
It's over with, dog.
Does Florida State have 25 yards yet?
Well, I'll check on that. I'll let Jason talk about what he's got. I don't think he's on social media. I think he uses smoke signal.
I'm not on social media like that, but
Ghost man.
I appreciate y'all having me on as your guest. I love talking about Bama football. Love catching up with the broskies, past teammates. I follow Alabama way out here in Arizona. So, man, I appreciate y'all having me on. Continue what you're doing, man. I love you guys. Y'all keep it 100, man. So thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Love you too, brother.
Hey, Ty, the update here on the total yardage. Florida State has managed to increase their yardage to 10. So there you go.
Ooh.
We're almost at halftime.
Hey, and Louisville lost to Kentucky today. That doesn't look good for them.
Matt Caddell. Pop what you got, sir.
Listen, hit me up on Tuesday nights. Final whistle. That's what it's about. Jason, I need a prescription. I'll tell you the prescription I need after this, But that's that kind of joke, everybody. Right. At the end of the day, final whistle.
for that one site, right?
For that website. He's got a live stream later. Anyway,
I don't know what y'all talking about, guys. But listen, at the end of the day, roll tide. We beat the Auburn Tigers. The state of Crimson, the state of Alabama is Crimson again. That's all I care about. Let's get ready to beat them dogs. So, RTR.
Y'all are gross.
Y'all is one of those really large three-letter words.
Yeah.
Like we,
the majority.
I'm comfortable with those words.
Majority.
Matt needs some holy water, some Jesus.
Hey, I went to Catholic school for 8 years. Don't include me in this. I'm here.
Ty, don't you dare act like you are the definition of morality. She knows what you do on Tuesday nights with your creative OnlyFans names.
Hey. Creativity is an accepted thing on this panel.
And for those keeping score at home, speaking of gross, Florida State is at a gross negative 21 yards rushing at an astounding yards per rush of negative 4.2. Chris Owens, you're a busy man. Now that you've come across our path, you may be regretting it. Then again, you may be celebrating it. Either way, we appreciate you being here. Tell the folks how they can find you, and then who you got for Survivor Series tonight.
Yeah, I'll keep it short and sweet before the old folks get too rowdy over here. So you can catch me on Wednesdays on the Crimson Dynasty. And tonight you can catch me in the main event of SummerSlam. I got a match tonight defending my U.S. title. But yeah, that's all I'll be doing. So
that's what's up. Dan James, you're on mute, sir. Matt,
I've got out mute.
There you go. I was going to get Matt to help you out. They canceled you.
It all starts with this channel, the Bama Standard. I'm glad y'all gave me this platform, and I appreciate everything you guys do and bring to the network, and it's right here. You catch me on Facebook, Dan James the Fourth, on Twitter, Final Whistle Dan, but every Tuesday night, it's the final whistle, 9 p.m. Eastern, Chris. Eastern.
What I said.
But and post game on Saturday, most post game shows if I'm not working. But roll tide, everyone. Big win, huge win. It's Georgia week, SEC championship week. We got a lot on the line here.
What I said, 9 Central?
You just said 9.
Man, folks know what time we're on the East Coast, y'all. We in Georgia, boy. You know what it is. Oh, my fault.
Apparently,
you're not allowed to say that name this week.
It came out, man.
Apparently, Danny Cannell is making the call on one of these games because he is running his mouth about Alabama. So, who's more insufferable, him or Gary Danielson?
Danny.
Gary Danielson.
Yes.
Danny Cannell to me.
Danny's a clown. We already knew that, but Gary, we just have to. We have no choice but to listen to him. We don't have Danny doesn't cover too many Bama games, like if ever.
But we go to ESPN next year. Does that mean we also?
I doubt we get him.
accumulate
We'll probably see McElroy before we get him. Danny is a clown. He's
Man, McElroy. Oh my gosh.
I don't want to see McElroy either, honestly.
We'll probably see a lot of Kurt and Chris.
I actually like McElroy. Ty, go ahead, man.
Yeah, you can find me here on Tuesday nights. You can find me every other day, pretty much on Around the Table Sports, whether that's live streams. We live stream every morning, 9 o'clock Central Standard Time, videos through the day. And then most Tuesdays, Thursdays, you can catch me on Bleacher Report. You can catch me on Bleacher Report every Friday with our National College Football Show. Coming into this weekend, I was sitting at 92-22. And I'm comfortably in the lead, and I'm not looking back. So I'm going to bring that home for the Roll Tide.
Nice.
Lucian.
You know what? You can find me with the rest of this esteemed panel of awesomeness on Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central on the Final Whistle. We're going to be talking about them dogs. We're going to be talking about how the warden of the South, Nick Saban, is going to implement his will this next coming weekend. We're going to be getting it in, and it's going to be nice. Y'all better show up, show us some love. You can find me on Twitter at Rolush21. It's right down there. And we got some things working in the future. But most importantly, we got the win. We sent them college, whatever you want to call it, down the road. They're going to go home and probably cry to their mamas another 365 days. And I love beating another Orange team. Roll Tide.
I'm sure they were talking about how the refs robbed them of this game too. But listen, we got a lot of great content, as you can tell, on our channel. We got a myriad of shows that can definitely provide you with all the content you need. I want to direct you to this channel because we're going to bring the heat this coming week to get ready for the Georgia Bulldogs on the Bama Standard Tuesday night. Slade Bolden will be back in studio with us to talk about some things. We're excited to have him back. He has been with the Atlanta Falcons, and he is giving us a little bit of his time next Tuesday to get us ready. And Oliver Bacon is adding $4.99. All right, I'm going to need to come through with some good OnlyFans names, Chris, Matt, etc.
Are we egging this on?
The HR department.
No.
The HR department, man, got me. I'm retired.
No.
Only Matt and Ty and Lucia can.
I'm not gonna do it. We got CC on the show, so I'm gonna be respectful, guys.
Look, that's not gonna stop y'all. we're way past that. So yeah.
And before we close out, Florida State is still down 12-0 with 4:02 left to play in the first half. The total yards is still an enormous 10 for the Seminoles. That will do it for all of us here at the Bama Standard post-game show. Again, Alabama did their thing, 27-24 in the Iron Bowl, dramatic fashion. We will see you next week. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, baby.